Coming up next on the SPNN Forum, we have Adia Swanger, Program Manager for Professional Development at Springboard for the Arts. Hi, welcome to the SPNN Forum. We're live from the Kwame McDonald Studios at St. Paul Neighborhood Network. I am Martin Ludden, Executive Director of SPNN, and we're here today with Adia Swanger, Program Manager for Professional Development at Springboard for the Arts. Adia, welcome to the Forum, and welcome back to the studio.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back.
So you work on professional development at Springboard. Can you tell us a little bit about, we'll come back to that, but a little bit about the broader organization, Springboard for the Arts?
Yeah, Springboard is an artist resource and economic development and community development organization. We pretty much exist to help individual artists make a living and a life. We did a little update to our mission statement to add just and equitable communities as well. So knowing that artists can't really make a living and a life unless the communities that they live in are also just and equitable.
Yeah. I also like the living and a life.
Yeah.
They can be different.
That's right. I had many years of making a living, but not much life.
Right. So what kind of programming does that bring with it? Kind of what's the work there?
Yeah. So there are a couple different areas that we work in. One is, of course, the area that I work in, professional development for artists. We also have resources for artists, which can encompass healthcare needs, access to legal resources, professional directories of things that we've collected over the years, space, people who do things like graphic design and web design. We also have a community development arm that helps artists interface and helps organizations and governmental and local organizations work with artists to help solve local issues. Like an example was the Irrigate project that the Green Line had a few years back when that was under construction.
Yeah, I remember some of those really innovated, and I'm thinking, I think there was like a portable ping pong table.
Yeah, that's still around.
Nice.
Yeah.
Does Wing Young Huey have that still, or does he has ping pong and there's also?
I'm not sure if he's still involved, but there are. You remind me of Ready Go, which are a bunch of projects that artists have created that kind of helps activate sites and spaces.
Yeah, and bring community together.
That's
and I think around the Green Line, it was to drive conversations and engagement and stuff.
Yeah, and to help folks know that the businesses that were around were still there. Like they hadn't ended just because there's construction.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about art and business
Yeah.
also, but there's another tie in there. So what's the kind of your program area then, the professional development side? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mainly work with workshops. So the Work of Art Business Skills for Artists curriculum, it's a 12-part series. So there's a workbook and there are workshops that happen with it. So working on the curriculum, making sure that's updated, and then also thinking of new workshops that we can offer as we respond to what artists are asking for and what they need right now. I also work on the Artist Career Consultant and Consultation Program. So we have a roster of 26 or 27 Artist Career Consultants around the state of Minnesota. And they are available for 1-hour consultations. So folks can request one through our site, and they meet with one of those folks to talk about strategic planning, career planning, funding. Sometimes it's, am I truly an artist? And the answer is always yes. Yep. At Springboard, if somebody says they're an artist and they're doing art things, then they're an artist. Yeah. So those are the main areas, as well as working a little bit on incubator fiscal sponsorship.
Okay. That stable crew roster of 27 consulting, are they all consulting, are they artists?
They all are practicing artists. Yeah, so they bring their skills and expertise in their discipline, but also what they've learned in the course of being an artist and running a business. So sometimes I'm really, I feel a little humbled by how many cool people we have on the roster and what they've accomplished. It's really great.
So what is that, does that, as an artist who wanted to consult, would I look at that roster and say, this sounds right, or is there a matching process, or what does that look like?
It can be either. So we have the option of choosing somebody if somebody really looks like a good fit for you. And then if somebody's not sure, if they look over the bios or it's too many bios, they can ask to be matched with somebody. And we'll suggest 3 or 4 consultants that might work.
And what kind of stuff do people seek consulting on? I
Yeah.
think you said strategic planning and business planning. Like, what does that look like for an artist?
Yeah, a lot of the time it's I need more people to know about my business. So developing some kind of marketing plan or marketing campaign. It can be working on your brand. We've got a couple folks on the roster. Krista Sukup is one of them. She's been a publicist for a while, literary publicist, but great eye for helping folks really hone in on who they are as an artist. So that kind of work. Starting out, mapping out a plan for the next couple years, helping folks identify their goals, and then giving them some steps to think about to get there.
Very cool. And then the workshop series, I guess I wasn't aware that it's a very, like, it's a defined curriculum.
It is.
So what's that, what does that take you through?
So we start with what I think are like the big dreaming areas, like career planning is the first one in the series. And then we move into putting together the materials that you have for your work, so portfolio kit, time, and then some nuts and bolts things like time management, which nobody ever wants to talk about, but we all need to talk about it.
Yep.
I like that one a lot. When I was learning the curriculum, I realized, I was like, oh, I actually have way more time than I think I do.
Yeah.
Maybe if I didn't spend 3 hours scrolling on TikTok, I would have a little more time for the things I want to do. I get inspired. TikTok is research. So career planning, time management, portfolio, and then we move into marketing, promotions, getting more nuts and bolts with pricing your work, legal considerations, finding funding, grant writing, writing a business plan, and then finally engaging customers and selling your work.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I missed anything. I don't think so.
That sounds like a pretty
Sounds
complete
like 12?
arc.
Yeah.
So I find we talked about this a little before, but I feel like, you come out of art school or you come out of college, you've pursued a career in art, or maybe you haven't done it through college, but those feel like things you should get taught, and they don't.
Right. They really don't. I mean, like I was saying before, I kind of learned by stumbling around like a toddler as an actor starting out. I fortunately had some good advice, but I had to go search it out from the internet. I didn't know about this comprehensive series, and it was a while ago, so it might not have existed in that form yet. In 2016 is when it really got put together like that. But yeah, it would have been really nice. So I'm always excited when we have college students who have joined these workshops, and when we talk to colleges and universities, because it's like, this is the stuff that you need to know. You might not be able to implement all of the things because those workshops are dense. But it's really nice to have a solid foundation in what the things that you should be thinking about as you're starting on an artistic career. And you don't have to be coming out of college. You could be 50 and changing careers.
I'm watching my mom do that.
Yeah. We have a lot of career changers when we end up doing the workshops at the library, like folks who have had an accounting or marketing or finance or whatever career, and now they want to paint. So it's fun to see them.
When you see artists come in, if there is a big one, like what thing are they musually most missing? Like through that curriculum, what's the big light bulb where they're like, oh yeah, that's the one?
I mean, I think that pricing can be a big one for a lot of folks. A lot of folks are really worried about pricing their stuff too high. But the thing I like about the workshop is not that it's like, oh, well, maybe you should consider pricing it at this. We can't tell people that necessarily, but we can tell them, let's figure out how much it costs to make your work. And you really shouldn't be pricing anything lower than what it costs to make it. Yeah, you might be, and this is the thing that we also say in that workshop, you don't have to be out to make money. You don't have to be out to make a profit at your business. What you should not be doing is going into debt because of your business. So if it's a hobby for you or something you do as a service for other people, by all means, break even. But you still need to know how much it costs and make sure that your pricing is matching that. And
at least break even.
Right, exactly. And I see a lot of folks' eyes go, oh, when they really think about that. And folks have come back and said, we took that workshop, we raised our prices, and so far it's going great. So there's a lot of fear around money, I think. Both and getting it and selling things.
I mean, and that conversations around money are always awkward. And we talk about it in nonprofit fundraising too. It's hard to ask people for money.
It is.
When you're asking people for money for a thing that you've created, there's this whole is it worth that?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yep. Yeah. So there's a lot of, and I think that's true throughout all of the 12 workshops, is really encouraging artists to really believe that what they have is a business. A lot of folks don't want to some folks don't want to think of themselves as a business person. If you're selling things, you're a business person.
Yep.
It's like you can think about people being in relationship with you, experiencing your art, call it whatever you want, but you are in business. And so we try to encourage folks to think about it that way, not necessarily in a cold way, like, oh, I'm just trying to sell as much as I can to everybody. But understanding your story, understanding your brand, understanding the value of what you're putting out. There's an artist, Martha Bird, who's a fiber artist, and she went through the facilitator training intensive last year. And we were talking about pricing, and she's like, we mentioned that your time, even if you're not purchasing materials, your time is also a piece of that calculation. And she was like, wait, so when I go and I gather stuff on these people's property, when I gather these reeds to make my things, and then I spend 12 hours drying them, and then I'm driving here and there, that time counts? And she's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to price it. And I was like, no, you are.
Yeah.
Part of it, and then we encourage them to take marketing, because it's like, that's part of the story of this work,
Right.
is what you have put into it. And that's what people are interested in, that they can buy a basket from Target.
Right.
But a basket that you made, that they know where it came from, they know what went into it, that's something special.
And that you put not just your hands on, but so much time and eye and all the rest.
Yeah, and your expertise and knowledge that you've gathered, all of that's worth it.
Yeah, it's the joke about like trades.
Right.
Like, you're not paying me $50 an hour for the half hour it took me to unclog your toilet or whatever. You're paying me for the 15 years it took me to learn how to do it in a half an hour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is that a leap that people are willing to make? Like, because it seems like it could be a hard sell, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the individual.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always true. I think about it like these are places where we're teaching folks to swim, in some ways. And some folks will stand on the shore and they dip a toe in the ocean for a little while, and then they start to wade very slowly. Some folks charge out unafraid. And some folks will just not go because they don't want to swim.
Right.
And that's fine. We're not here to make anybody
Yeah.
be a business person if they don't want to.
Yeah.
But it can be. But it's one of my goals as the program manager of this program to really try to get folks to a place where they believe in their work, whatever it is.
Nice. If you're just joining us, we are here in the Kwame McDonald studio at SPNN talking with Adia Swanger about business and art and how that work goes together, and she does that at Springboard for the Arts. As you're talking about, some from my experience and listening to you talk too, like I have a little bit of a background in visual arts, and that makes sense to me how you do that business-wise.
Yeah.
What does that look like as a performing artist?
Yeah.
So you're an actress. How does that, like, what does someone like you gain from these?
Yeah, there is, full disclosure, there is, because of how it was created and who the original audience was, there's definitely a visual arts bias. Like, I'm trying to weed it out wherever I can.
Yeah.
In the update that we did in 2020, I tried to throw in some more performing arts examples. So I think it just takes, especially when it comes to pricing, it takes a little bit of thinking, just stepping back a little bit and thinking, okay, I don't make goods. Like my time is the thing that's most valuable. And so how do I think about my time and what I put into this and the knowledge and the classes and whatever else?
Yeah.
So as a performing artist, it's really the same. It's thinking about what it costs to do what you do. It's thinking about how you as a performing artist want to maybe your focus is collaboration. Like if you're a dancer, you might have a company or you might want to work with other folks. And so there's still some considerations there of like space rental, like navigating those logistics is all part of it. You're still telling your story, you're still trying to find your people. And I think that the core of it remains the same.
Yeah, cool. What is that art, so as you're shifting back a little bit to the visual side, what does that market look like in the Twin Cities? Like, do we have a healthy market for people to sell their art, and what's the scene?
This is always the question. People are like, I don't, even in Twin Cities, outside the Twin Cities, folks are like, I don't know if there's anybody who's going to buy it.
Yeah, and then greater Minnesota, because Springboard does work statewide.
That's right, yeah.
That's important to remember.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, the stance that we take at Springboard is we're not going to tell anybody that there isn't, especially with the internet being what it is. Yeah. There's a market for your work. It might not be a huge market, it might be a smaller market, but we can't say that there's not somebody out there who's interested in what you do. I think that there is room, there's plenty of room. The Twin Cities, as the economy in the Twin Cities is generally always doing fairly well. We have some racial disparity, of course, in unemployment, but that's not to say that there isn't a market for what folks are doing. Right. And I think it's true. And I think it's more a matter of finding out who the people are. And that takes some market research. Yeah. Like we encourage folks to do that as well. Dig into the Bureau of Labor Statistics, dig into the census data, digging into some of the resources at the Hennepin County Library. The business library has free business market research resources. It's pretty incredible what they have to offer. I was listening and I was like, this is so great. So they've got, there's stuff. Minnesota has a wealth of things to help small business owners. Right. So it's less a matter of like just setting up your tent and hoping folks will show up and doing some of the work that it takes to make sure that folks know you're there. Right.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about, that like the gallery, do you so you get, 5 rejections and then somebody does a thing and maybe you've got something in a coffee shop and what does that track? How do you grow that?
It's different for every artist. Yeah. To think about some of the folks who've been able to expand and scale, folks come into those workshops with different circumstances. As speaking as someone with a small child, like right now, I don't have a ton of time for art. Right. That doesn't mean that I can't make a small amount of time and maybe scale back what I do, but still produce over a longer period of time than somebody who maybe is part-time employed and has 20 hours a week to create and to market and to work on those things. But at the core of all of it, I think, is always relationship. That's like, I hate that. Like the 20-year-old in me hates that because I was like, I can do it myself. Yeah.
I don't need anybody else.
No, it's not true. Like jobs, like opportunities, all of these come from being in relationship, which, as we know with the pandemic, super hard for a little while to get in front of people, to meet people, to forge those new networks. But we tried as much as we could with the virtual workshops and things that we were offering to help folks connect, to encourage them to talk to one another, to mention the opportunities that they knew about, so that they can start developing those relationships. Almost every acting job I've gotten is because people know me. I'm fine. I'm a fine actor. Like I'm not amazing. I won't toot my own horn, but like all from relationships. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like there can be kind of in the same way that there's a weird disconnect between art and business. Like there's a way to do relationships in community that's not transactional. Because I think sometimes people hear networking and like, you got to network and you got to market, and they go, ugh, like that's slimy. And it's like, no, just go meet people.
Exactly.
Go meet people and talk about what you do.
Yeah. Which again goes back to like being able to tell your story. Yeah. Like that's something that we actually practice in one of those workshops, is being okay talking about yourself. That's a thing that people have a hard time with too.
Yes.
Especially Minnesotans. Yes. I'm like, stop being Minnesota shy. Go ahead and just talk about what you do. Yeah. There's somebody out there that thinks that that's fascinating. Yeah. Like, again, going back to TikTok, like some of the things that I see people do, I'm like, how is this a thing? You've got 700,000 followers. Yes. That's amazing. Yeah. So it really does, you're right. It comes down to just making sure that you're letting people know and being there for them, like hearing what they're interested in and being in conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually a nice pivot. So where do these workshops take place? Where in the community can people find them?
Yeah, right now we've got a series starting with the Hennepin County Library.
And does it go in order? And does it start?
This one will. Okay. It doesn't always. It depends on our partners. Usually if we're offering it, we'll do it in order, 1 to 12. Hennepin County is doing them from career planning to engaging customers.
Cool.
That starts September 17th. It'll be online, it's virtual,
Okay.
so anybody in the state of Minnesota
Yeah.
can access it. Anybody in the country, actually. We've had folks all over the country.
We had that, like we started offering some stuff virtually, and for the first time we were fielding calls about what time zone.
Right.
Like it starts at 5, what time zone? It's like, oh wow, cool. Like we're reaching.
Yeah, it's been really cool to meet folks from South Carolina and Canada and
Yeah.
Colorado. So that's online. We are dipping a toe into coming back into in-person workshops. So we have a series at the Rondeau Library. It's only a 4-part one though, but folks can find them on the calendar of events on our website to find out where things are.
And what is the website?
Yeah. Springboard.
If I might.
Yeah, springboardforthearts.org. And if you want to know about events/events at the end of it.
And so will you be hosting eventually some of these classes some of these workshops back in the Springboard space?
Yeah, I think that, we haven't set a firm date, but I think that's on the horizon. Like this part of the reason that we have that space is so we can host workshops there. And I have some other things that are happening soon in this space.
Well, let's talk about the space, because
Yeah.
it's really cool. Where were you? Were in Lower Town, right?
Yeah, we were in the Northern Arts Guild building, above the Black Dog, which is no longer there. Yeah.
Take a moment of silence for the Black Dog. Yeah.
A moment of silence.
So what did that? I was never in that space. Was it big enough to host stuff? Like, how does the new space feel compared to that?
Yeah, it was tight. So there was a conference room that could fit comfortably maybe 20 people.
Okay.
And so if there was a bigger workshop, folks were often spilling out into the lobby. The nice thing about
which is like lovely and congenial
yeah,
and not also super
exposed
comfortable.
brick, but yeah, you're craning your neck to see the screen. In the new space, there are multiple meeting spaces. We've got a conference room that could probably fit 20 people comfortably. Then we have the community hall, which is a large open space in our previously a car dealership building.
Yes.
And so they would drive the cars in there. So super tall ceilings, can fit probably 100, 200 people. Maybe not in COVID times, but eventually.
Right.
So workshops can happen in there. We also have a mezzanine space up on the 2nd floor that has a resource lab. That's where, if you went to the old space, there was the resource lab, the resource center, which had computers, printers, Adobe Creative Suite for folks to use. Watch this website for when that will open up again.
Okay.
But that space is also available for workshops.
Yeah. So now you've got a space to host this stuff, but also just like to be in community.
Yeah.
And to have that back again.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we've last summer we hosted a bunch of events out on the lawn. Nothing inside the building. Right. But this year, I think Northern Spark rented the space. So there was stuff out on the lawn, stuff up on the roof. Apparently it was a little bit like being at the club for a little while up on the roof.
That's
like,
Northern
okay,
Spark?
all right.
That's how that goes?
But yeah, we've got a bunch of events coming up to help folks really be there in community together. Our site activation series is what we're calling it.
Yeah, so what do those look like? What kind of stuff should people be looking for?
Yeah, there's some ongoing stuff that isn't like time specific, time and date specific. One of those is called Don't Doubt Your Horses by Dan Wall. There's a little paddock on the green space out front in the front lawn, and he invites you to draw a horse. And then you can see some of the other drawings up on the fence at the end of our space. There's also Texture Garden from Arne Marding and Angie Kushrain. It invites you to add to a collaborative weaving installation.
Oh, wow.
So these things are just there. Like you don't have to come into the building. If you're getting ice cream at Wonders, you can come over and draw a horse or start weaving.
Nice. Is there a horse in the paddock, or is this completely from imagination and memory?
It's imagination and memory.
Wow.
Yeah, there's some really great ones.
Oh,
like
I bet.
Some photorealistic to like what people remember about a horse, like nostrils and teeth.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
What other kind of events do you have coming up at Springboard, or what other things should people know about?
Yeah, we've got, there are other activities that are happening. There's Coachella from Cow Tipping Press, which is one of our incubator projects.
Can you talk a little bit about the incubator?
Yeah,
but also Coachella in like 1 minute?
Yeah, oh gosh, no time. Okay. Incubator fiscal sponsorship. So that's
Yeah.
where people can kind of borrow Springboard's 501c3 to
Okay.
receive tax deductible donations. So big grants and stuff, some folks will only give to a 501c3.
Right.
So to access those funds, folks can come to Springboard and become
Yeah.
fiscally sponsored.
And we can also say funders pay artists.
That's right. Just give them money. That's all they need. Coachella, Disability Literary Arts Festival. So
Okay.
a really cool, Cow Tipping Press, great organization. Music, Afro-Cuban, Latin American, also soul line dance in the community hall. All of these events are free and open to the public. And that space is rentable too, especially for folks. I think there's a discounted rate for folks in the Rondo Frogtown neighborhood.
Very cool. That is tons of fun stuff.
Yeah, I know, there's a lot. There's a lot.
And you can find more information at springboardforthearts.org
That's right.
/events.
Yep,
or also
for
just
events.
.org.
Yep, or just .org.
Yeah, go to .org, explore. There's tons of good resources. Thank you so much for your time today and for the work that you're doing. I think that, as you could maybe tell, it's kind of close to my heart.
Yeah.
Figure out how to make sure artists can support themselves and keep
Yeah.
creating and producing. So thanks a ton for coming down and talking about it.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Yeah. You have been tuned in to the SPNN Forum. We've been here today with Adia Swanger from Springboard for the Arts. We have been in the Kwame McDonald studio at SPNN. Please make sure to tune in and catch us again sometime. Thanks.
Yeah, this was fun.